Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive on some common English expressions. The kind that native speakers use.
Yeah, like all the time.
Right, exactly. And we thought it'd be really helpful for English language learners to kind of
Pick up on.
yeah, pick up on these and, start using them themselves because they can really help
Take your fluency.
to the next level.
Yes, exactly.
So we've got 20 of them. We're going to go through each one, give you a little explanation and maybe a couple examples of how to use it.
Yeah, some real world example.
Sounds good. You ready to jump in?
I am absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, so the first one is having said that.
Having said that, okay, so you use this phrase when you want to introduce a contrasting idea or to qualify something you just said. For example, you could say, the restaurant was expensive, having said that the food was delicious.
Ah, I see. So you're acknowledging the first point, but
Then you're kind of like, but on the other hand.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or you could say, he's a very confident speaker,
Yeah.
having said that he can sometimes dominate the conversation.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, number 2, wishful thinking.
Ooh. Okay, so this is when you're hoping something will happen, even if it's not very likely.
Right, you're letting your desires kind of cloud your judgment a bit.
Yeah, you might say, thinking you can learn a language fluently in a month without studying much is probably just wishful thinking.
Exactly. Or she's hoping he'll change his mind, but honestly, that sounds like wishful thinking.
Yeah, classic wishful thinking.
All right, how about to take something for granted?
Ah, okay, so this means not appreciating something because you're so used to having it.
Right, exactly. Like we often take clean water for granted until there's a shortage.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Or he realized he had taken his friends for granted after he moved away.
Yeah, sometimes it takes losing something to realize its value.
Very true. Okay, so next up is keep that in mind.
Ah, yes. This is a way to remind someone of something important.
Right, like the museum is closed on Monday, so keep that in mind when planning your visit.
Exactly. Or when you're negotiating, keep in mind what your absolute lowest acceptable offer is.
Good advice.
Okay. Be that as it may.
Now this one sounds a little more formal.
It's a more formal way of saying despite that.
I see. So you could say, the instructions were confusing. Be that as it may, we still managed to assemble the furniture.
Exactly. Or he denied any involvement, be that as it may, the evidence suggests otherwise.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It kind of adds a little bit of weight to the statement.
Yeah. All right, next one, around the clock.
Around the clock means 24 hours a day, nonstop.
Right. You might say the emergency services operate around the clock to help people in need.
Or during harvest season, farmers often work around the clock.
Rip, they're busy, folks.
Okay, next phrase is to toss around some ideas.
Ah, so this means to brainstorm, to just chat about different possibilities.
Right, like in a relaxed setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might say, let's toss around some ideas for our team building activity.
Or before making a final decision, we should toss around some different approaches.
Exactly. Just kind of explore the options.
All right, what about in and of itself?
Okay. In and of itself means by its very nature or considered alone.
Okay. For example, the technology in and of itself isn't revolutionary, but its application is.
Exactly. Or the problem in and of itself is quite simple, but it has many contributing factors.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm getting that one.
Okay, great. Moving on. Lo and behold.
Lo and behold, this one always makes me chuckle a bit.
It is kind of an old-fashioned expression.
Yeah, it's like when something surprising happens, you're like, I went to the lost and found, and lo and behold, my wallet was there.
Right. Or I tried to fix the computer, and lo and behold, it started working again.
Technology, always full of surprises.
Okay, next we have in hindsight.
In hindsight, this is all about looking back and realizing something.
Exactly. It means with the benefit of knowing what happened afterwards.
You might say, in hindsight, I should have asked more questions during the interview.
Or in hindsight, investing in that company was a great decision.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20, as they say.
Very true.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? For the sake of argument.
For the sake of argument. So you're making a point just to see where the discussion goes.
Right. You're not necessarily saying you believe it, but you're proposing it to explore the idea.
So you could say, for the sake of argument, let's say you had unlimited resources. What would you do?
Exactly. Or, for the sake of argument, what if we considered the opposite viewpoint?
Yeah, just to kind of play devil's advocate.
Exactly. To put it mildly.
To put it mildly means you're downplaying something, you're saying it in a less strong way than you could.
Right, like the weather was unpleasant, to put it mildly. It was freezing and raining.
Exactly. Or he was disappointed with the results. To put it mildly, he was devastated.
Yeah, sometimes you want to soften the blow a little.
Exactly.
Okay, on the flip side.
On the flip side, introduces the opposite perspective.
Right, you're presenting the other side of the coin.
Exactly, like living in a big city has many opportunities. On the flip side, it can be very expensive.
Or working from home offers flexibility. On the flip side, it can sometimes be hard to separate work and personal life. Yeah, there are always pros and cons.
Always. Okay. Next one is to put it in perspective.
So this is about helping someone understand the relative importance of something.
Right, like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. You could say, to put it in perspective, while this delay is annoying, it's only a minor setback in the overall project.
Or, to put it in perspective, millions of people face this challenge every day.
Yeah, it helps to see things in a broader context.
Okay, against all odds.
Against all odds means something happened despite it seeming impossible.
Like a real underdog story.
Right, you could say, against all odds, the small independent film won several major awards.
Or, against all odds, she recovered completely from her serious illness.
Inspiring stuff.
It is okay. Next phrase, to make a long story short.
So this is when you want to skip over some details and get to the main point.
Yeah, when you don't want to bore people with the whole long saga.
Exactly. You might say, to make a long story short, we had some initial difficulties, but eventually achieved our goal.
Or, to make a long story short, the meeting didn't result in any concrete decisions.
Straight to the point.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue means something happened unexpectedly.
Yeah, like a total surprise.
Exactly. You might hear, he called me out of the blue after years of silence.
Or, the job offer came completely out of the blue.
Sometimes life throws you curveballs.
It does, all right. Cutting it close.
Cutting it close means leaving very little time to spare.
Like you're right on the edge of being late.
Exactly. You could say, we arrived at the gate just as they were about to close it. We were cutting it close.
Or, I submitted the application just before the deadline. I was really cutting it close.
Always a bit stressful.
It is right to draw the line.
To draw the line means to set a limit, to say this far and no further.
Right, like you're establishing a boundary.
Exactly. For example, I'm happy to help with small tasks, but I have to draw the line at doing other people's entire workload.
Or, he's willing to compromise on many things, but he draws the line at dishonesty.
Good example.
And last but not least, at the end of the day.
Yes. This means ultimately, or when all is said and done.
Right. It's about what really matters.
Exactly. You might say, at the end of the day, what matters most is that you're happy.
Or, at the end of the day, the final decision rests with the manager.
Wise words.
So there you have it. 20 common English phrases that we hope you'll find useful.
Yeah, try to listen for them when you're watching movies or talking to native speakers.
And don't be afraid to try using them yourself.
It's the best way to really make them your own.
Exactly. And you know what I think? It's these little nuances that really make a difference in language learning.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about grammar and vocabulary.
It's about understanding the way people actually express themselves.
Yeah, it's like unlocking a whole new level of fluency.
Exactly. It helps you connect with the culture and the people on a deeper level.
I couldn't agree more.
So keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Absolutely.
That's all for today's deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.